I um, I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1979, actually about a week after I turned 18. My father was a vet, and he met my mother in Europe. She's British, and she grew up and lived in London during the Nazi bombing. And from that, I learned that there's evil in the world, and you have to stand up to it. So enlisted in the Marine Corps seemed like a natural thing for me. And after college, I went in the platoon leader program. I was an infantry officer. Was on active duty for 7 years, and then was pulled out of law school for Desert Storm, and stayed in and actually deployed to Iraq in 2004 and 2005 with the 4th Civil Affairs Group, which actually is based here in Anacostia. I just talked to Miss Miller. Her son was in 1-8, which is the 1st Battalion, 8th Marines. And I'm a civil military operations officer, and we supported them in Haditha, and my guys were in Fallujah when they went into the Jolan. And I had some very serious misgivings about the Iraq War. I mean, initially, I don't remember Vietnam. I mean, I know the gray hair may be a little confusing, but I wasn't old enough. So I mean, I trusted our leaders. And while I was a little uncomfortable with some of the rhetoric and almost the joy and excitement that they want when they were blowing people up, the giddiness that had appeared on with the shock and awe comments, I believed them, and I felt like if there really were weapons of mass destruction, I wasn't sure we had much choice. And then more and more, when it became apparent that that was misleading to us, I went to Iraq because I've got 2 sons. And their great-granddaddy, the great-great-granddaddy was a vet and served in World War I, and great-grandfather World War II in Korea, and grandfather vet, and I'm a 2-war vet. And as much as my wife would like to believe it, not believe it, they will probably be Marines as well. I mean, if you look at the statistics, and I didn't want them fighting Arab kids. And so I went there as a civil military operations officer because that's the good news that people will tell you is not being told. And I will tell you the truth. Our Marines, they're proud of what their units do, and they protect each other. And when they can, they try to avoid, collateral damage, as they say, which is a terrible, sterile term for what it is. But when I came back from Iraq, I realized, and as I was there, I realized that the administration was more interested in being politically right than it was in doing it there like it should be done and really empowering the Iraqis, because I saw Iraqis that stepped up to help us. And because there were at that time not enough forces. You remember everybody saying, hey, we needed more, and this president decided he was right and above everybody else. And Iraqis that stepped up and did the right thing were killed because we didn't have enough troops to support them during the battles of Fallujah. And so as I came back, I started speaking out and said we need to have an open dialogue, truthfulness, and tell the Americans what's really going on. And then like a lot of us, really worked for change in the November elections. And then it was like, could you have more of a mandate? Could you have more of an avalanche? Could you have more of an expression of government of the people, for the people, and by the people? And while I'd been an advisor of Vote Vets, I'd been a little bit active, but John Schultz gave me a call and said, "Can you believe this escalation thing?" And we started really aggressively getting involved in doing what we're doing now, but we started back in January and February. And addressing politicians that were saying all the things you want to hear, that there's problems here, we need to do something different. And when it came down to votes, it became apparent that the oath that they took, and which for every vet here, you know that oath, and you took the same one. I do solemnly swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It doesn't say anything about fealty to George Bush. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything about Republican Party. And so we are here to call them out. Talk's cheap. I want to see action. Now, this is one thing. Now, remember, there's a couple of things to remember. 3,600 plus. That's the casualties right now in Iraq. 3,600 plus. and talks cheap. And every one of these or senators that tell you one thing and do something else, they need to be held accountable. And we need to keep doing this, and y'all need to keep showing up so they know we're not going to go away. Thank you all very much.